So the bypass. We know that Borough Green has a traffic problem. There's no doubt about that. It's a dangerous road. When I was at the public inquiry a while back into the item quarry, it was very clear from that there were a lot of residents who were very concerned about particularly walking their kids to school and the dangers associated with HGV traffic. So that's we understand that. The danger we have is that the lack of public funding for this scheme means that there's a real risk that it can be used as a lever to try and get some sort of political buy-in to this scheme. And again, going back to the Item Sandpit public inquiry, when H&H Selcon put in their application, the officer's report from KCC said that the scheme should be rejected on a whole list of grounds. It went to the planning committee and they said it should be approved, and that's what triggered the public inquiry. And that was largely linked to H&H Selcon offering to pay for the bypass. So the bypass may be the solution, but we need to be careful about what price we pay to get it. This is a slide of the bypass site. You can see the H&H Selcon factory in the middle ground there. In the foreground is the ridge where sort of some works began on the bypass. The site, we understand, has some protected species like red-crested newt, but more importantly, the site has also been partially infilled. The evidence that came out of the public inquiry that suggested that it should have been backfilled with inert material actually came back with showing that it had been backfilled with lots of very contaminated material. There's a lot of nasty fuel oils and other petrochemicals in that ground there, and that needs to be sorted out, and that's expensive. So is there an alternative? Well, I know that there's a local group here and representatives here that have long argued that a lot of this debate over the traffic coming through Borough Green, in fact the whole of the A25 between Wrotham Heath and Sevenoaks, comes down to Junction 5 being built wrong in the first place. Now we are where we are, unfortunately, and one of the cautions, I guess, is if the bypass were to be built, it might encourage more traffic down the A25, which would then block up at Seal. And as everyone knows who uses that road at peak times, it's a bit of a nightmare already, and we wouldn't want that on the people of that community. But as with both of these schemes, both the bypass and the east-facing slips issue, it all comes down to money, and I'm sure Paul would want to say something about that later. Finally, we've already heard a bit about the Infrastructure Planning Commission, but this is kind of reiterating some of the points and putting my own sort of interpretation on where I think things seem to be heading. First of all, how it works. This sort of setup came out of basically the need to build new nuclear power stations. That's what it's about. It's because government looked at how long the Sizewell B inquiry took, how long the Terminal 5 inquiry took, and they said that if they want to build a nuclear power station, they don't have to argue the whole case for nuclear power before getting around to the site issue. So what they want to do is have these national policy statements on nuclear power, on transport and freight interchanges, and for that fun fight to go on at a parliamentary level. So when you've got that national policy statement in place, you then have the individual cases coming forward, and say for this rail depot, and that will be judged on the merits of the site, not on the merits of rail freight as a concept. And there's a lot disquiet about this. If you're like me and you're a great fan of Planning magazine, you'll be up to speed with a lot of the debate that goes on among planners about how inclusive this process is and how legal it is. And in fact, a lot of lawyers are rubbing their hands with glee at the IPC getting underway, because they can see lots of nice juicy loopholes to make lots of money out of. Um, the IPC got going on the 1st of October this month, and for me this was the most revealing quote actually from the Deputy Director General of the CBI, Federation of British Industry. And what he says is that it will allow firms to invest with confidence and get on with funding the new transport and energy infrastructure that we need for a low carbon economy. And the bit that worries me there is the confidence bit. Because you think, right, if business has this so much confidence to go, yeah, we're going to charge in there, you think, well, where does the democracy bit fit in? Where does local opinion fit into this process if it's being taken by this little elite group of planners at central government? And you know, that worries me. So, but is the IPC a red herring anyway? Has already been mentioned. The Conservative policy and the Liberal Democrats are both pledged to get rid of the IPC. They don't like it because no one else likes it. But my big worry is that once they get into power, if they get into power, they will find it a bit too useful to get rid of. Because we've got to build a hell of a lot of new energy infrastructure very quickly over the next decade. And if planning powers are being delegated to the local level, as we've heard this evening, you think, how is that going to be done? There's going to be a real tension there over this. We need to do stuff quick. Central command and control. Let's whack a nuclear power station down here. And what I guess we all want here, which is a more bottom-up approach to planning, so that our voices and opinions matter. A question I would have liked to have asked Nick really is, what would it do different? We've heard about getting rid of the South East Plan, getting rid of the IPC, but really, will devolving stuff down to the county councils work? I really hope it does. The other spanner in the works that we heard about, of course, is the South East Plan being binned. And a bit more has come out of two policies in the South East Plan. And if Tunbridge and Moreling can then turn around and go, no, don't want that, going to ignore that, then it's going to pretty much kill this scheme stone dead. But what's going to take its place? What's going to fill the void if suddenly the regional plan disappears? Are we going to be in some kind of planning limbo for years until something new comes in? So to conclude, I think we can all agree that this rate interchange proposal, as with KIG, is going to be incredibly damaging to this community and the wider area. The landscape of around Tunbridge and Moreling and Sevenoaks is going to be blighted forever. And it's questionable about the lorry reduction benefits that is going to occur anyway, because there's been big debates at the KIG inquiry this week and last week about how many lorries is it going to take off the road? And if we look at a purely selfish Kent point of view, it's not going to take any off the M20. And the Operation Stack is still going to cause chaos. So the benefits are very, very questionable. Borough Green bypass, as I mentioned, we need to be careful that it's not used as a lever against us. And the decision-making process is really up in the air. There's great uncertainty about how, if and when the backers decide to put in a planning application, how it will be dealt with, we don't know. But I just want to finish with maybe a ray of hope, I'm not sure. But if KIG, God forbid, gets permission, then the case for the scheme here is completely gone. There's no way they can justify any special case for it at all. But we wouldn't want to pay that price. If KIG is turned down, which we very much hope it is, then the grounds on which it will be turned down will almost certainly be on logistics and transport, which will equally apply to here as it does to KIG. So again, I feel this scheme is going to go nowhere fast. And I would just say, if there's anyone from Cemex here, please just leave us alone, okay? Save your money and save all of us a hell of a lot of grief.